Observatory Park in Montville, Ohio. Let's see if I can do this there. There's one. That back there super far away, and then that right there are supposedly the same size cornerstones as the Pyramid of Giza, and I believe they've marked them out and spaced them out to be as if the actual size of it if it were sitting right here, and those would be the actual corners on it. So it makes me wonder if they aren't actually marking out an old ancient pyramid right here. This will be the last video for now in this series about Ohio. If you haven't watched the previous videos leading up to this one, I highly recommend that you do go back and watch them in order. Today I'm going to show you the last little spot that I visited while I was in Ohio, and then also just show you some other stuff that I wasn't able to share or just doesn't exist, so I wasn't able to go to it or can't. There's nothing to see. It's gone. But just other mind-blowing stuff that's definitely worth sharing. That just in Ohio, a place you think like, oh, nothing's wrong, like this stuff's absolutely amazing. So there's a couple things going on. This is the main visitor center area, and it has different weather equipment and stuff like that. It was closed. This whole area is a mapping of the size of the Pyramid of Giza. There's one corner, right here's another corner, and then you've got the other corners there, fourth corner right there. And then here's a look at the actual Great Pyramid of Giza from the top. And I don't remember exactly how I found this place. I think I just saw it mentioned online and thought it would be interesting to visit. But I think what really was the most interesting thing to me is why. Like, how come a Great Pyramid's mapped out? And I don't know, it kind of made me wonder. I'm not saying this is the case. I honestly have no clue. It could very well just be someone wanted to build a little nod to the Great Pyramid of Giza or something like that, but maybe there was actually some Great Pyramid there at some point, and maybe the mapping out of it is a much more real mapping out of it. Again, I don't know. I really don't. No clue. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying interesting to think about. And this is something I didn't know. I couldn't have told you this. But it's the oldest of one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the only one to remain largely intact. You know, I like where I'm kind of been saying, I think there's a lot more of the ancient world still intact, and definitely like 150 years ago, it looks like there was way more of it still intact and sitting around. And it says that initially it was the tallest man-made structure in the world, and they hypothesize about how it was built, but nobody really knows. But rock builders, ancient civilization, much better, built much bigger, did it all with rock, had to have amazing economy backing to do that. And sure, maybe there were cases of slavery in some spots or in some times, but I would say for the most part, to see all this type of architecture worldwide, the scale of it, the height of it, the weight of it, I don't think whole world necessary. I mean, I think that's more of humanity coming together, forming really strong economies and civilizations to be able to throw all that up. Not as much of slavery, although, like I said, probably there are cases of that for sure. And then also, just in a little bit of research I was doing, I found a couple other old observatories that looked like they were built a long time ago in Ohio. This one, for example, and then this one also, but this one looks like it's been kept up pretty well. And then there's this one too around here that has also been kept up really well. And so I jumped on the trail, and it's got these, I don't even know what to call them, these circular stone things scattered all around, and I thought they'd be lined up symmetrically or something like that, but I couldn't really find quite a rhyme or reason to them. There'd be one here, and there'd be 3 in a row over here. But they're really interesting. Maybe old buried structures, but I don't know. The rock seems newer to me, but I honestly just don't know here. And then you've got these stone pillars right here, which also on top of all these little rolling mounds. And I think there's the rock on top of these stone pillars is new. maybe there's older rock underneath there. So this trail that I've got the camera pointed at right now runs through the middle of the pyramid. It's this one that we see right here, running through the middle. And I'm about here, and what I'm going to do is walk like this and then come down through here. And interestingly enough, right when I come through the middle right here, which is supposedly the middle of the pyramid, it starts to rain. See, this is the size apparently of one of the corners of the pyramid. And then just for perspective, here's a look back at the visitor center. And then as you can see right here, as I got into the middle and started walking that trail, it started raining on me. Hadn't rained all day. It was like literally right as I hit the middle of the pyramid, it just downpoured. And then off to the other side, if I'd gone to the other side and walked the other side of the pyramid, this is what you see over there. This is what I'm talking about here. You've got 3 of these lined up in a row, and then just a short distance, you've got a couple more. As far as I could tell though, they do all sit on the exterior perimeter of the pyramid, for whatever that's worth, if it's worth anything, if it means anything. And so here's a look at the 2 corners of the pyramid on the other side. The trail, I didn't walk all the way over there, so there's that. I walked to that one, but I didn't walk to this one all the way over there, but I did. So I saw 3 corners of it, and the rain eased up. And then there was this little section where they've got what like looks like there were maybe a couple mounds there that they removed or something, and then they've got just these little rock piles there. Here I got a close-up of one of those circular things, and didn't help at all. I have no clue. I don't know what's up with these. So that was the last location that I visited while I was in Ohio. I went to New York next, and I have visited several locations in New York that I'll be sharing, so definitely making sure and check out that playlist. I wanted to just, like I said, no order here. This will be just kind of random, but share just some other things that are definitely worth sharing from Ohio in the 1800s, and I believe much of it well before that. This is a look at Akron in 1907, and you can see a lot going on here in Akron. You can see those big buildings right there. There was also an exposition in Cincinnati. This one's in Cleveland. Sorry, like I said, these aren't in any particular order, but they're definitely just worth showing. Another castle up in Cleveland. This is interesting. Hopefully I'll make a video with more about doing more on this later, but I've noticed these in several places. But specifically around state capitals, these type of old like they're lights, I guess now. Maybe they were something else before, maybe they were lights, I don't know. But they have this old green color on them, and obviously this old type of style art to it. And these right here, just outside the Cleveland, Ohio courthouse. This is inside the Cleveland, Ohio courthouse. This is a look at the ceiling somewhere in there, and it's just so intricate. And I think they'd have to say that this was done, they did it by hand or something like that. But I mean, how would you do that? That looks like very advanced, better than we have now, 3D printed or something. I don't know, like that's amazing. I started noticing these little, I don't know what they are. It's kind of like a bundle of something with a strap wrapped around it. But I started noticing some of these in some of the images I was looking at, but just again, the intricacy, the detail. This is a courthouse building abandoned in Cleveland, Ohio. Wait till you see the front of it. This is the interior of it. Just look at that. Here's some art on the exterior of it. It's not a very clear image, which is really unfortunate, but look at the detail on that. Oh, and also on the side of here, you can see that little bundle thing I was just talking about. And here's how I've kind of been thinking about some of this art and the symbols that we see. I mean, if just take like all the logos on your phone of your apps. If we engrave those into stone, and someone hundreds of years, thousands of years later finds that on stone, they're not, like the little Gmail envelope thing. No one's gonna know what those mean, and I think obviously the same thing's going on here. Their logos obviously mean stuff, and it would be awesome to know what they mean, because I don't think, if they're throwing up these types of buildings that are just so amazing, and again, to think about the civilization, economy, and people that would be behind all of that and able to do all of that, their symbols mean something. And like, if we're seeing the same ones over and over, what are they? What are they trying to say with those? What did those mean to them? And here's the front of this beast. Wow. That thing looks so old. It's obviously super abandoned, super beaten up, but it also looks like it's been sitting there for 2,000 years already and can take the beating no problem. Here's an armory. The armories are really interesting, always mind-blowing. Cleveland, Ohio. This is a Gray's Armory. There's another one or two, I think, in Cleveland. I'll show you. Here's another look at it. And you can kind of see the horse and buggy here out front on the dirt roads. Just not making sense. All right, so this one's in Columbus, Ohio. Just look at this archway right here. Those layers and layers of cement arches. This looks like something a kid built with Legos and then did like a really tricky angle picture of it to make it look like an actual size castle. But no, this is the real deal. Not only is this, I would say this is the top of the real deal, and the much bigger bottom of it sits beneath the earth. And here we go again, Columbus, Ohio. Here's a courthouse, and there's those little, I don't want to call them stick bundles, because I don't think that's what they would be. Like, why would you have just a bundle of sticks, and next to these like super gnarly eagles all made out of cement and super heavy, you're just gonna put a bundle of sticks there? Like, no, that's got to be something else. I mean, and then with all these ones up here too, like, they were really telling full stories, showing real stuff about their civilizations. We're just so far removed from it and confused about it that but no, these were, man, it would be so cool to know more about what this all is actually supposed to mean, what it does mean. Here's another building that's part of Ohio State University. It's another piece of a castle. This is the Columbus, Ohio Penitentiary. This is the Columbus, Ohio St. Francis Hospital. Just a hospital here. This is in Newark, Ohio. It's just a sheriff's residence. It's not part of an old castle. This is part of an armory. Look at that. Here's another look. These are so ridiculous. Here is a look at some pictures from the expo that was held in Ohio. Here's a look at one of the streets that's a part of it. And again, this just looks fully like, I mean, just here's it's lumber. They did this is all rock. It's all, I mean, maybe a little bit of it's not, but these are rock buildings. Solid stone buildings, and we got a little pile of lumber over here and dirt roads that built all of it. Since after I kind of started to realize in the last videos more about fountains and what they do for water as far as aerating them, and especially if you've got a purifying system attached to it, and then after it's purified, then you send it through fountains and aerate it. The whole fountain thing's super cool, and so I like seeing this one. They call this the Great Fountain at the Centennial Exposition. And then here's a look at what looks like a ticket to the exposition. Here's another look at it. Just absolutely insane architecture, and these little tiny people down here with their horses and wagons. This is just another picture I found of a flood, and you can see, big bad buildings standing up back there still. All these big brick stone ones are good. Here's another Ohio State University building. Absolutely a beast. Ohio Capitol building. This is a courthouse in Toledo, Ohio. Look at that. Look at this one. This is just so solid of a building. How much that must weigh. This is the First National Bank in Toledo, Ohio. This building is also in Toledo, called the NASB building. Not sure if I'm saying that quite right, but another big one in Toledo. Another big one in Toledo. This is a yacht club in Toledo. I believe this one's part of a university as well. The chimneys on this one are really interesting. This is a hospital in Toledo. Whew! Yikes. This one's in Akron, Ohio, and it looks like it hasn't been completely stripped and has some of the original. This would be super cool to go see in person. Because they stripped so much of this off, it's kind of rare to see any of the actual art still on the buildings like this. Because like I've said before, I mean, when you see these things, especially like these expo buildings, and you can read in some of them it says like stuff was gold. And so I just think, you know, if that's the case here, if we've got buildings with gold, of course that would all get stripped off. This one's also in Akron. This was also in Akron. There was a full Zeppelin air dock. I guess these are called Zeppelins or airships, blimps. This one's in Bexley, Ohio, part of a university, I believe. This is a look at Canton, Ohio. Like, I mean, just look at how much, I don't know exactly what the year is on this one. Canton, Ohio. This one's also in Canton, Ohio. This building's super cool. And look at that tower right there. Here's another look at it. This was apparently a watch factory. Here's a picture of a flood in Cincinnati, Ohio, the 1913 flood. And so look, if that water or mud, whatever, just settles right there, boom, throw in a door right there, and then you've got a little home to live in. This was a fountain inside of an old school in Cincinnati. And I think this is probably some leftover original artwork. Looks pretty cool. And I don't know, I wonder what they use those fountains for. Or what, maybe this wasn't a fountain, maybe I'm looking at it wrong or something like that, but pretty cool. Jeez, this one, man, don't mess with this guy. This is Cincinnati, Ohio, Kirby Road School. It's a school. Oh yeah, so this is actually, the fountains are inside of that school that I just showed you. So here's a look at another one of them. And so yeah, I think they did turn it into, I mean, like that's our metal, that's us on top of their beauty. Here's another look at it, and this one's even got the, you know, the baby statues and everything, and then we threw our new plumbing right through it. Here's another one. I guess it didn't work out, so we plopped our new one right next to it. Here's 1880 City Hall in Cleveland, Ohio. You can see it's still got a lot of the decoration ornamentation on it, maybe even some, I don't know, these spires and stuff. Like when you look at our utilities and technologies, it's a lot of stuff just sticking up on top of buildings like that. It makes you wonder if that, you know, if there wasn't leftover technologies and utilities on top of these buildings, and that's what we're looking at, all these spires and stuff like that. This was a picture, I didn't look into this one much. They called this one the Grand Army of the Republic Convention 1901. I think this is probably some sort of also exposition fair, something like that. But look, 1901, Cleveland, Ohio. You can see all this in the background too. Insanity. Look at this thing. Look at these statues. The sphinxes with the wings, or I don't know what they are. Oh, eagles maybe? Yeah, eagles or something like that. Here's another look at the Great Lakes Exposition of 1937. Got the blimp up there that they're showing off. This was a brewing company in Cleveland in 1890. There was another brewing company in St. Louis, Missouri. It was another brewing co. that just looks like a full-blown castle. And I think that's what we're seeing here too. Just amazing, massive. Like, look at this whole thing. Here's an opera house in Cleveland, and this is the construction picture. To me, it looks like excavating, getting it going, fixing it up. Here's a high school picture taken in 1911. I showed this one in a previous video, but the Cleveland Terminal Tower. Madness. Just absolute madness. Here's another one in Cleveland, Ohio. This one's taken in 1880. This one is in Zanesville, Ohio, a federal building, a post office, I think. Look at this though. I wonder if it still has all this on there. I'd like to go see that if it did. Here's another picture from an Ohio flood, another flood picture, and another flood picture. Here's some interior of another high school, all brick, all this, just really, really amazing. I get, like, there's, yeah, the locker, you can see the stuff that kind of makes it look like a high school, but if you can see past that for a second, this is, wow. And this is a really good example of if you can see past it, because they've got rinky-dink backboards thrown up and stuff like that. But if you can look at like the actual structure, and if all that was stripped off and the building was just sitting there in its original beauty, like, look at this, just the detail in that woodwork. Not for a high school, not for a high school, and especially not when your homes are wood buggy cabins. We're all living in cabins. We're all chopping up wood for heat, but we need grapes and leaves and an amazing wood design in massive rock buildings. Look at this, Springfield, Ohio, Wittenberg University. Oh my gosh. By the way, most of these, if not all, are on the National Historic Register. Whoa. I don't remember seeing this one. Look at that dome. Look at the artwork still on it. Akron, Ohio airport. That's crazy. But to me, that just looks like, you know, chunk of a castle tower. Toledo, Ohio castle. Yeah, this is a whole bunch of mud. Flood came in, buried so much of this thing, and then people showed up. This thing's so crazy. Now moving on to New York. Watch my New York playlist. And remember to please share these videos with other zombies.